Okay, welcome to Module 7's Objective 3, where we're looking at management issues that relate to network and network data and their relationships. So this is not one that I mentioned in my previous video. And just to note that Objective 2 is just an activity to do. So if you go to that, check that out and then go to the website for networks. And you'll be able to find everything you need there. So that's why I'm skipping Objective 2. So we're going to review data management considerations for networks here. So let's start with the very first thing, that is know your data. So I can't emphasize that enough because data is really complex. There's a lot of information that we can gather. So you need to know what you are looking at and what it actually means. So for example, go to the metadata, check out the metadata, know what it's telling you. Look at the spatial and non-spatial elements. Do you understand what is being shown? Do you understand what's in the feature class table? And then look at reality. So if you have the opportunity to be there in person and actually see it, then look at it. Does it make sense? Do you think that what you're seeing in your data makes sense for the reality? So then, what does this mean for streets? I mean, of course, all of us have taken GPS, used GPS to be able to navigate. Maybe you haven't, but for those of us who have used GPS to navigate, sometimes the streets it send us on, we're like, why? Because we know the reality of what the street might be like, but the people creating the GIS often don't. So that means that we need to look and know what's on our streets if we're going to be creating a network with our streets. So some of the considerations that you need to consider, there's a big list of them, so there's 2 slides. And this is for a street network. First of all, you need to know the street information. So that could be, anything to do with the name of it, how, any information that might be important to it, usually the name, and of course, location of it, etc. Then you know the layer information, so what have you set up with it, so who created that layer, etc. The format, so shapefile, not shapefile, whatever it is, some sort of other format that you bring in. The geometry of it, so do we see a lot of curves and twists so it ends up overlapping or not? Then of course the attributes, so is it a back alley or is it actually a road? Other things to consider: elevation, one-way streets, length of the road, travel time, so we need to know speed along roads, the hierarchy, speed, again, how fast you go, the road class, and the address. So when I say hierarchy, it's like, you got highway, you got primary highway, secondary highway, tertiary highway, street, like residential street. They're all kind of in a hierarchy. That's what I mean by that. And then road classes, is it a highway or is it a residential street? So when it comes to data management to work with networks, it's critical to keep everything up to date. So, because there's always construction, there's always things happening. And so you need to find a way to kind of keep a live update of that. And then you need to create and update. So there's 2 parts to every data management. It is a difficult thing to create data and then see it become out of date. And then somebody either complains or it can become a liability, etc. Like it can be anything that can happen. So spend time getting to know your data, take that time, look through it, look at the data, look at any extra information that's given about it, take the time to know it. And gain a real appreciation of the real world features that are being modeled. So Google Earth is amazing now, or Google Maps, because you can kind of go anywhere and get a feel from the satellite image, and then you don't even have to go in there in person. So it really helps a lot there. So go take a look at it, see if it makes sense to you. Also, the development of a network is very time consuming. So if you guys are thinking of doing this for your final project, somebody is going to be spending a long time developing the network itself, but it is definitely a possibility. So in summary, the results of a network analysis are only as good as its data, right? So be aware that of the properties that can be applied to a network data set. So we can apply elevation, one-way streets, length, time, travel time, hierarchies, speed, road class, and addresses. All of that can be applied to a network, and so it makes it a very complex analysis when you start incorporating everything. So go ahead to the same network tutorial as the previous one. And that is everything for this one. So I will be back for the last objective.